You know, for a while, I thought the Legacy sequel fad was dying out. I mean, we had a ton in the horror space with Halloween 2018 and Scream 2022, but after Halloween Kills and Ends were poorly received and Melissa Barrera was fired off Scream 7 unjustly, it seems like these franchises are going to be put to bed. Because there ain't no way Scream 7 gets good reviews. I didn't hate Legacy sequels as much as a lot of people did. I mean, I liked Hocus Pocus 2 when it came out, but I've since changed my mind, sadly. But there's still plenty of them that I think are pretty good movies, and hold up compared to the original. Beetlejuice, 28 years later, if you count that. Ghostbusters Afterlife, and obviously I didn't think no Legacy sequels were coming out anymore, because this year we got I Know You Did Last Summer, which was also poorly reviewed. But the common trend with most of these franchises is that they hadn't had an entry in the same continuity as these new sequels in a long time. Which is why I'm confused about Now You See Me, Now You Don't. And first off, I know people wanted this to be the title of the second movie, which makes sense, but I am a hater in this scenario, because that is entirely too long of a title, and makes it hard to talk about. So I will be calling it Now You See Me 3, or Now You Threw Me, I don't know at this point. But I grew up on this series, and as many problems people have with the other two movies, they're a part of my childhood. I'm pretty sure I saw the second one in cinemas when it came out. So when I heard the third one was being made, with pretty much the entire cast returning, I was hyped. I wanted to see my Horsemen again, going through very elaborate means to expose corruption and Robin Hood their way to winning the hearts of people. And I kinda got that. So Now You See Me 3 follows the Horsemen, of course, with J. Daniel Atlas as their leader, played by Jesse Eisenberg. Atlas can be a bit of a dick with an ego and specializes in illusions, vanishing, and sleight of hand, but he's the one keeping the Horseman name alive after they get caught up in other facets of life. Merritt McKinney, of course, returns, played by Woody Harrelson, their resident hypnotist and goofy uncle who kinda doesn't take anything seriously, but hey, that's Merritt. Jack Wilder, as expected, makes another comeback after the crazy shit he pulled in the second movie, played by Dave Franco. He's a card shark, a wannabe gambit who knows when to hold them and when to throw them, I guess. Plus, he picks locks, because these movies are also heist movies, if you didn't know that already. Rounding out our four-night squad is Henley Reeves, back at last, played by Isla Fisher, who was not a part of Now You See Me 2 because she was pregnant, and flexing her unique talent of escapism with a baby bump is not a great idea. And they actually take a few light jabs at this reasoning in the movie, and I quite enjoyed that. The Horsemen haven't been on great terms recently though. Some arguments caused Jack and Merritt to leave and pursue different paths in life, a real career, and alcoholism. I mean, those are your two doors as a magician, I guess. Leaving the Horsemen out of the magic world, until the Eye opens up once more, sending a tarot card to the R4 that leads them to three wannabe horsemen. A newcomer magician trio using their name and fame to get a bit of dough. I, for one, respect the hustle, but I don't think Atlas would agree. These three are Bosco, the leader, played by Dominic Sessa, a former actor and frontman who exists to perform and impress. Unfortunately, he is a lot like me, and I did not like seeing the similarity. Bosco is kind of arrogant and lackadaisical about security and actually trying to get away with the genuine crimes they are committing as magicians. He's very much a younger reflection of Atlas. Alongside him we have June, played by Ariana Greenblatt, a short and fiery, sticky-fingered lockpick, the woman in the shadows for when something needs stealing or fighting. And she do be trying to one-up Jack at every opportunity. Finally, we have Charlie, played by Justice Smith, the man in the shadows. He designs all of their tricks and controls every little detail without needing to be noticed or seen. Despite his wit and knowledge of magical history, he prepares the backstage, and doesn't mind Bosco taking the credit, being the performer and all. Atlas and the Horsemen have no idea what the Eye wants these young magicians for specifically, but they know what they have to do together. And that's steal the Hope Diamond, the largest diamond in the world, mined in South Africa, but taken from the communities there to instead be displayed by Veronica Vanderberg, CEO of Vanderberg Enterprises, or whatever her big company is called. She's played by Rosamund Pike. And if you'll allow me to steal a joke off of Letterboxd, of course she's evil. She's a white South African. No offense, Katie Heron, you're one of the good ones. And so, let the redistribution of wealth begin. Viva la revolution! When I said earlier that I didn't really get this movie, it's mostly because of the status it holds as a legacy sequel. Because Now You See Me 2 is not even 10 years old. And they've been working on this movie since that drop. They announced the screenwriter in 2020, but fired him in 2022. They always planned on making a third entry, and I can tell this is not what they had in mind back then. Couple this with the cast list having at least one character that just wasn't in the movie, and the trailers using a decent bit of footage that also wasn't in the movie, and I think we've had some reshoots afoot. I'm not going to let this harm my opinion of the movie, because it is mostly just about my expectations coming in. I mean, I really wanted Mark Ruffalo to be in the movie because he wasn't in any trailer, and Dylan is kind of incredibly important to the Horsemen. But whatever, maybe they just took ideas from the original script and stretched them into two movies, and we'll get a Ghostbusters Frozen Empire-esque sequel. Hopefully one better than Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, but that's enough about the franchising of the movie. So, how is the movie itself? In my opinion, it's a mixed bag. The reason I've been talking so much about the status of the franchise and this movie as a legacy sequel is because my biggest complaint is that it can't seem to decide whether it wants to be a dedicated follow-up that has the Horsemen in the spotlight again, plus the new characters proving themselves to join the Horsemen, or if it wants to be a passing of the torch legacy sequel, and that's why the entire cast has returned. Now, I'd much prefer the former because I grew up with these characters. I want to see them doing cool shit in the next movie. And the first two acts very much gave me the impression that this was going to be that kind of movie. About halfway, there's this genuinely amazing scene, which is a one take inside of a chateau filled with magical history memorabilia. And the Horsemen are looking down on the New Blood a bit, so they take the opportunity to show their stuff. Going around the room and showing all 7 of these magicians doing different tricks based on their skills, calling each other out for how they pulled it off, and having a friendly competition that shows the rapport between them. It was incredibly fun, and I just wish that tone was a bit more consistent with other scenes in this movie. I actually don't mind the idea of these new characters getting focused on alongside the Horsemen because, well, that creates interesting character dynamics. Lula from the second movie was loved by a lot of people who wanted her to return in this one. And while I think Bosco and June were a little try-hard when they were pulling the "your old ways are outdated now, boomers" card, I think Charlie was handled really well. He has a distinct enough personality that he doesn't clash with the Horsemen. He was inspired by them and is honored to work alongside them for their huge trick. He has historical knowledge of magic that helps him be useful to the plot, and everyone just dismisses him as a nerd because ain't nobody else reading those books. Plus, he has a character arc about stepping out of the shadows to take credit for the work he and his friends do. It helps that I just like Justice Smith in general. He seems like a really likable guy, and he was great in The Quarry, I Saw the TV Glow, Dungeons & Dragons, and Detective Pikachu. I do hope to see him in some bigger roles in the future though, he deserves them by now. Veronica was an okay villain. It's not like Now You See Me is known for having Heath Ledger's Joker level performances, but Michael Caine is always going to be great no matter what role you put him in. Compared to a pretty generic businesswoman that had some backstory, but not all that much that made her actually interesting. I do think the second and third acts of this movie are really enjoyable though. It was losing me in the first act, but as soon as the first tricks start happening and we really get the ball rolling, it gets pretty enjoyable for a while, even if I disagree with some of the plot decisions. Like the same thing happening twice, when it really shouldn't have. And separating the Horsemen from the new magicians in the final act, I actually liked the relationships they were building up and would have loved some tag team fights and tricks. Also off topic, it's kind of funny that after stealing the largest diamond in the world, the security just comes at them like barehanded or with batons. Even in England, we have a bit more firepower than that. Rosamund Pike is a perfectly okay shit-eating villain. It was very out of the blue and funny to see the historical relations their family has. My biggest question when it comes to the movie is just, did this franchise really need a legacy sequel? Like, Now You See Me 2 is only 9 years old. All of the characters are returning and still a present force in the movie. They don't need to, nor actually pass the torch. And there are clearly plans for another movie. So it's sort of just a weird decision to drop the numerical naming scheme like Halloween 2018, make a sequel that doesn't contradict any other sequel continuity, like Ghostbusters Afterlife, introduce new characters that have a young vs old conflict, and then kinda just do nothing with that. As much as I liked it, it was just a weird decision. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's sort of just a part of the movie that I kept thinking about and questioning. Another big complaint I've been seeing with the movie is a lesser focus on the actual magic, because bar that one scene I mentioned being my favourite of the movie, we have 2 big spectacle fests, and then not that many tricks or sleight of hand scenes in between. Something like the card trick from Now You See Me 2, with them passing in between each other, maybe of the diamond or something else, would have been so cool, giving us more flair for the newer characters, maybe having one mess up and almost getting revealed until it's saved by one of the Horsemen. And honestly, the idea someone brought up online of the Horsemen going up against different magicians trying to one-up each other Despicable Me style would be so awesome. Calling them old news, although that might be a little weird with a New Blood attached, but fuck it, keep the franchise going, man. I want to see more of my Horsemen now that they're all together for the first time since the first movie in 2013. I'm also hoping we'll see the return of some other legacy characters like Michael Caine, Mark Ruffalo, and Daniel Radcliffe. It'd be pretty great to see them all in the flesh again. But I'm probably repeating myself a lot. Overall, Now You See Me, Now You Don't is a worthy sequel that continues the legacy of the Horsemen in a pretty basic way. It doesn't reinvent the formula too much and makes some decisions a lot of people don't like. The franchise has questionable logic and a skill set that seems godlike for every character, but I still enjoy them. Seeing the Horsemen again was a fun time. They did a lot of cool shit to prove it was still worth watching the movies. The New Blood is not as annoying as expected, and I hope to see Justice Smith return, especially in a future movie. With its stereotypical villain, toned down visuals, and basic narrative structure, I'm giving Now You See Me, Now You Don't a perfectly okay 6 out of 10. I hope the sequel just decides to be cooler. That's it, really. We don't even get to see Henley's specialty of escapism, which sucks after she showed up for the first time in 12 years. What a shame, man. And if you don't want to have knives thrown at you, be sawn in half, or made to magically disappear, I would recommend choosing to subscribe. The YouTube algorithm is quite mean to smaller creators, so expanding my channel always helps. And I hope to hit 750 subscribers by the end of the year. Only 0.2% of my viewers are subscribed, so the likelihood is you aren't either. If you hit it, you can always unsubscribe later if you change your mind. Also, be sure to check out my recent video on the 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie. I put a lot of effort into that one for my new series covering the worst video game adaptations ever made and would love for more people to see it. If you enjoyed this video, like it to push it to more people. If not, that's okay. I still hope you have a wonderful day and get to enjoy yourself. Remember to take care, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.